What you at? My name is Caleb, and welcome to Exploring Modern. So, the objective of this series is to go through all the decks in the format, one by one, and test them all out against the rest of the field. So I'll start out with a little deck tech for today. So, this is Spellvine's Izzet Blitz list, Izzet Prowess list, whatever you want to call it. Finished 22nd in the Modern Challenge a couple weeks ago. So the objective of this deck is to play Swiftspear or Soulscar Mage, Sprite Dragon, Stormwing Entity, some big prowess creature really fast, and pump them up with lots of cheap spells like Opt, Gutshot, Burst Lightning, Lava Dart, Lightning Bolt, Mutagenic Growth, Manamorphose, light up the stage. So then eventually you can kill your opponent with lots of damage. So now we'll get into the first match. Alright, we're officially into the first match. We have lost the dice roll. We are playing as Trailvoski. We're currently waiting for him to decide if he would like to play first. So he revealed Lurrus with the Dream Den, which means a few things. It could possibly mean that he is on Boggles. It could mean he is on Devoted Druid. Or it could mean he's on Red-Black Prowess. All of those are possible options. So when I'm looking at this hand, I'm not sure what I want to do. So, basically, I have Lava Dart to enable the entity, but it's pretty awkward. I have a turn 1 creature, which is what I want, but I'm not sure if that's what I want to be doing against Boggles. And against... It's also just really awkward because I don't have a third land or a free spell to play with these entities, so I think I'm going to mulligan. Okay, this hand. So this hand has a Gutshot into a light up the stage and an Opt. I can opt into a second land and hopefully turn on a Stormwing Entity. I think this hand's very good. Putting him on Devoted Druid or Prowess means I want to keep this Burst Lightning. So I guess I'm going to pitch the Reveler for my opening hand. Our opponent is mulled to 5. Bloodstained Mire likely means Red-Black Prowess. Boltly's off on a Swiftspear, so it's definitely Red-Black Prowess. So now I do want to kill this Swiftspear, but it's kind of awkward because I also need my second land for my Stormwing Entity. But he could have a light up stage draw, which means that I'd want to kill this thing and to cut off that out for him. So I think I'm just going to Burst Lightning this here and try to find my land next turn. Yeah, so it seems like he's stuck on one land here. It looks like he drew it off the Cling to Dust, which is pretty good for him. But I wouldn't say it's too lucky. Thoughtseize, sure. I imagine we're going to see either a Gutshot or Opt taken here. So if he takes the Gutshot, it turns off to light up the stage. And if he takes the Opt, then we're forced to waste our Gutshot to light up the stage. Takes a Storming Entity, which is interesting. Soulscar Mage. I feel like since I drew Soulscar Mage, and he took our Storming Entity, so he's probably scared of our threats. I'm going to develop the Soulscar Mage, so that when I start casting spells next turn, I can get some damage down as well. I'm not just spinning my wheels. Yeah, he's in desperation here. He's cycling through his deck to try to find something, so he knows we're ahead. The second Thoughtseize makes sense if he took the first Stormwing, because if he can break up 2 pieces, he can just take our creatures. Swiftspear. I think I'm going to attack with the Soulscar Mage so I can get my light up the stage down and try to hit my land drop. So we miss on a land, which is pretty unlucky, but the Mutagenic Growth is key because it's going to make our Soulscar Mage not die to Lightning Bolt. Afterkill keeps a pretty awkward card in this matchup, where it dies the Gutshot, and he knows that we have it in our hand. Our Swiftspear. We really want to draw a land here. This is a good draw. So now since we drew a land, we can go Swiftspear, Gutshot, and Growth, and do it all, and keep our creatures alive so he has no good blocks. So now we're going to attack him with all our creatures, because there's not a good block he can make. I think we're pretty far ahead here. Growth on our creature. Yeah, he conceded. So now we're going to move on to game 2. This is a Prowess mirror, so we're both trying to cast a lot of red spells. So I think Dragon's Claw is a fantastic card in the mirror match. Circular Extraction used to be a great card when these decks used to be on Phoenix, but they're not anymore. I think a Braid's going to be a great addition because it blows up Dragon's Claws and kills the opposing creatures, which is I think is the most important part of this whole matchup. I feel like I want Flame Slash for that same reason. Mutagenic Growth's probably my best free spell because it allows me to protect my guys from Lightning Bolt on the opposing side. I think Gutshot's not great. I think Burst Lightning is pretty clunky because with Burst Lightning, if they have any Prowess trigger, we can't kill any of their creatures. I also think Light Up the Stage is probably a cut because if we're boarding out the Gutshots, Light Up the Stage gets a lot worse. It's still a fine card, but it's not something I want to draw multiples of. We need to trim one more card. Since we trimmed on the Gutshots and the free spells, I like trimming a Stormwing here. And that's going to be our deck for the next game. Looking at this hand now, this hand's kind of clunky. Even if it gets there, it's not really. It's probably really good if it gets there, because we get the Manamorphose into the Stormwing entity while also pumping up the Sprite Dragon. We're also on the draw. Our opponent mulled 6, so I'm going to keep this hand. I think Revelers are going to be really important going to the late game as we trade off resources with our opponent. So I like having them in our hand. 2 is really clunky. But if our opponent's going to spend time killing our creatures, and they shouldn't be able to kill us very fast. It's pretty unlucky for our opponent that they mulled a 5 twice, but that's just magic. I'm just going to pass here and fetch Shock Opt end of turn. No worries, not in our main phase when it's an instant. Opponent goes for a Dragon's Claw, which is a really good card in the mirror match. But we have a lot of creatures, so hopefully we can press our advantage through that. The nice thing about being blue-red is you get some blue spells, which are like, doesn't seem super important, but against Dragon's Claws, at least your cantrips, which would usually be Crash through, don't gain life, which is important. On the bottom. So we missed on a land, which kind of sucks. We missed on a land again, which is a bit of a yikes. So I think I'm going to go for an Opt here to try and hit the land drop and develop our Soulscar Mage. So there's a Wood of Foothills. I'm going to put that on top. I'm going to crack this and grab a mountain and play Soulscar Mage. Hopefully this can bait out a Lightning Bolt from him, which will allow our Stormwing entity to live. The best thing I think for me here is if he just adds Lurrus to his hand. I think the worst thing for me, well, he didn't have a turn 1 creature, so there's not really any good plays he can really have that I'm really worried about unless it's a sideboard card. A creature here is very good for him. A creature allows him to kill our guy and to press damage on us, which is big game. Luckily though, I'll get to develop my Stormwing next turn, which should develop me into more better cards for the matchup along the way. Starting to get hit for 2 here, but that's okay. I want to develop the Sprite Dragon before Manamorphosing, but I don't think I really have the luxury of doing that here. So I think I just need to go for a Stormwing, and hopefully set up a Stormwing next turn as well. Lava Dart. There's 1 card in his hand. Play the land so I can cast a Lava Dart with a Prowess trigger to keep this guy alive. Flame slash Mountain. 1, 2, 3. So currently our Reveler costs 5 to play, but it functionally costs 4, so we'll be able to play the Reveler with this extra land drop. I also like the Flame Slash because my next turn could be kill this creature and then develop another entity, which seems like a strong next turn. So I think I'm going to bottom this and top the Flame Slash and just pass the turn. I don't want to fire off the dart and just get my Stormwing bolted, when I can just prevent that by holding up the dart and passing the turn. The Claw here is usually such a key role play in the mirror match, but if we just get to present a bunch more creatures than he does, it doesn't really matter that he's up a bunch of life, because our creatures will get more damage than he can gain life by just constantly attacking over and over again. It's a bit annoying, but we're getting a slash off the top to deal with one of these creatures. Also, if he plays that last card in his hand, I can pretty safely just dart one of these Swift Spears, which it looks like is about to happen. And Grat's Rampage can make me sack a creature. That's pretty good for him here. I think it's okay. I'm going to take 4, which sucks, but I'm going to be able to develop another entity and kill one of these Swift Spears pretty safely. Okay, so I'm going to slash off one of the Swift Spears, develop another entity. He has no cards in his hand, which is good for me. Because it means that there's not going to be many prowess triggers next turn. And if he potentially... So there's a Dragon's Claw, which is our Mirror Breaker. And since we're ahead on creatures here, I think it's a great card to draw. I don't really want the Swift Spear because I want more spells. So I'm going to top the Dragon's Claw and pass the turn here. Seal of Fire is fine. It's just at a range of killing our Stormwing entity. And also means he's not adding lures to his hand this turn, which is good. So he's offering an exchange up here that he's willing to trade his Seal of Fire and his Swift Spear for my Stormwing entity. Knowing that my hand has all these creatures, I think I'm okay with that. So I have the Lava Dart to deal with Lurrus if he adds that to his hand. I can still develop my Sprite Dragon or Dragon's Claw as my turn next turn and gain some life back. I think I have to block here. It's okay. It's notable to note that if that was a Soulscar Mage, that would have been a bad block, as our Stormwing entity would have been shrunk. I don't know if my opponent should have cracked a Sunbaked Canyon there, because now it means that he can't develop out his Lurrus next turn unless he draws a land. So I'm going to get the Claw down, just to get some life, get a little bit of a life buffer for us. Because if this game goes long, I feel like I'm pretty far ahead. Since he has Lurrus, he can't play Bedlam Reveler in his deck, which means this Reveler is going to be the lone Reveler on the board, which is really strong in these mirrors. So there's that Soulscar Mage. I'll yield all these triggers. There we go. Again, since I have the advantage going to the late game, I believe, I think I should just continue to develop the claws. So if he starts playing spells, I'm just going to gain life to go grow those spells. Manamorphose. So now we played Manamorphose. I think what I'm going to do is, with the Manamorphose still on the stack, with his prowess trigger, I'm going to Lava Dart the Soulscar Mage twice. I have 1, 2, 3, 5, so I'll be one short of developing a Reveler, but I can still Sprite Dragon. He just has no board then. So I'm just going to dart here and flashback Lava Dart. These triggers can be pretty click intensive once you get going in these red mirrors. There we go. All the way back up to 15. So we're sitting pretty in the life total column. We have the Reveler, so we have the late game under control. I like our spot. Opponent went for black-red. He's going for a Thoughtseize. Thoughtseize here is actually really bad for him, as we have double Reveler, which is probably the card he cared about the most in our hand. I might just end up taking Sprite Dragon here. because we're 1, 2, 3, 4. We are either 2 spells or 2 lands off playing the Reveler, which seems like it's pretty far away, but shouldn't actually be too much of a big deal. We have a pretty nice life total buffer here. It doesn't look like this game's going to end anytime soon. So he takes one of the Revelers, which is interesting. Kind of makes me think he has another way to deal with this second Reveler, because if I play the first Reveler, I functionally lose the second one. I think I want to develop out my Sprite Dragon before I develop my Braid, so that I can get a trigger on the Sprite Dragon, and now I can get some damage pressed on my opponent here. Come in for 1. So opponent goes for a Seal of Fire, which is fine. He's probably going to dome that out of Sprite Dragon, but that's okay. Braiding this Dragon's Claw is going to be really good, because we're going to be able to pull ahead with our 2 claws then, on every other red spell played. It's interesting to me that he's just not adding lures to his hand in these spots. We're going to up to 19 here, which is a lot of life. The big thing now is I need to find a way to deal with this Lurrus before it becomes too much of an issue. If he's able to get Lurrus going and gets it in play for a few turns, he can loop a few spells back. I could see us losing this game pretty easily. But it's going to be at least 1 turn of just adding it to his hand before it can even do anything. Draw. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I can develop the Reveler here at 3 mana. Which I think is fine to lose the load up to get 3 new cards, since I am going to need an answer to Lurrus, and I prefer it not to be heads up for him to know about it, because I think he's less likely for him to tap out for it if he knows he's going to die without some value. So I might wait till like a 4th land where he can play Lurrus plus Soul Scar Mage, or Lurrus plus Seal of Fire, or Lurrus plus Monster Swift Spear. The Reveler hides that information. Okay, so that's not the greatest of Revelers, but it's definitely something to work with. We're not actually flooding out too bad, because the fire outlets can be popped and turned into actual cards. He's going for a Thoughtseize, which definitely isn't the worst thing, because if he didn't draw a land here, he can't even develop his Lurrus if he's Thoughtseized. But it makes sense for him to go for it first, because he wants to clear a kill spell out of the way. Luckily, we just drew into another kill spell, so I'm going to crack off one of these islets. So we got a Lightning Bolt and a Burst Lightning. I think I'm fine just pressuring with my Reveler and not wasting any of these spells, because if I waste these spells, he could get creatures, which could come back and get me, whereas I don't think I'm losing on just a burn axis alone. Here comes Lurrus. So I'm just going to clean up Lurrus here now pretty cleanly. I don't want to leave Lurrus in play, and I don't think the 1 prowess damage is really going to make a difference. If I win this game, I feel like it's going to be won by a mile. So Braid's pretty good, because it beats his next Dragon's Claw and also deals with his next creature. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to crack this islet right now. I'm just going to keep pressuring with the Reveler and hold these spells for creatures. Cracking Sunbay Canyon here is a pretty desperate play. It's something I'm very happy about. Bobble's a good draw for me, because he doesn't get a spell this turn, which means less likely for him to develop a creature, which is all I really care about at this point. Just gonna crack this, and we're gonna grab a land out of our deck. Is he gonna try to kill? He's gonna go for my Reveler here with the Seal of Fire. Just gonna get 5 damage on it from this and the Seal of Fire. So I'm gonna let this happen and let him pop the Seal of Fire on it, and then I'll just Lava Dart and keep him alive. The Reveler's what's gonna carry the match here. I'm not really worried about the extra land. He might just scoop to the start here, to be honest. Yeah, so that's the match. Thank you for watching, and I'll be back. We have won the dice roll, and we're up against Volkswagen. So looking at this hand, I think this is a pretty easy keep. We have a turn 1 prowess creature, which is what we want every game, into a gut shot into a light up stage. We can make these guys at least 3 power, with just our hand currently. So we're going to keep. Our opponent has also kept 7. We're going to have Mountain Swift Spear. And we'll get him for 1 here. Opponent leads on a basic forest, Arbor Elf, which means probably the red-green deck, if I was a betting man. It's a good draw. You're definitely going to kill this elf. So I think we're going to lead off with, I think we have to hold the Morphos, so that if he plays a Blood Moon, we can play around the Blood Moon. So I like going Swift Spear, and just shocking him for the gut shot, so you can play light up the stage after combat. We want to keep the Metamorphos just in case we draw Storming Entities or Sprite Dragons, just in case they draw a Blood Moon and play it on us on turn 3. So we're going to get him for 4 here and play light up the stage. Seems like a pretty clear-cut dry play. This deck generally doesn't have many 2-drops, so if you interact with their 1-drop ramp, yeah, they just don't have a 2-drop play and they're so far behind. So we're up a game. Okay. So against this matchup, I'm assuming it's going to be red-green, so I want Ether Gust. They're going to have bigger creatures, so I want to be able to deal with those bigger creatures that are in the way. So I like Dismember and maybe Flame Slash for that. So they're going to be bringing, I'm unsure if they're going to keep in Blood Moon. I'm going to hedge like they're going to board it out, and if they do, then I think we're fine keeping the extra blue cards in our deck. I like Mutagenic Growth, and I like Gut Shot, because Gut Shot kills the 1-drops, and Mutagenic Growth protects us against Lightning Bolt. So both are fine. So I guess that just means that we might as well hedge, since I need to board out some cards anyways. I don't really think this is a Reveler matchup, because Reveler is generally really good against the slower, grindy decks, whereas this matchup can get under you pretty fast. They're more of a mid-range deck, so they can play either role, but I don't think Reveler is going to be needed. The games that we win this matchup are the ones where we can curve out with creatures and grow them very big very fast. If we try to play the long game with them, I feel like we're going to lose that. So I'm going to trim these. I think the flying is really strong, and we're keeping a lot of free spells, so I don't want to trim 2 entities. The Metamorphos is really good for getting around a thing, so I think our worst card in our deck is probably Burst Lightning. So I'm going to trim the Burst Lightning. I feel like we can get the opt down quicker, but that might be incorrect. I can see spots where opt's pretty awkward around the Blood Moon. But I think this is just a good enough matchup for us that I'm going to hedge in the fact that we can just curve out with a creature here. Like if he goes to Stomp or Bolt this Soulscar Mage on turn 2, we just have the answer with the Mutagenic Growth in our hand. Sorry about that. Okay, so we're going to develop this Soulscar Mage out. I'll protect it with Mutagenic Growth. It's a really strong start against this deck. We have double creature. Corsair Crewfix is interesting. That's not a usual one that they play, but it's fine. So Soulscar Mage is interesting with Corsair because we can make our creature actually grow bigger than his pretty easily, I think. The Mutagenic Growth just puts us bigger than the Corsair, and we can just eat it in combat. So I think I'm just going to send the Soulscar Mage into the Corsair here. So you're just going to take the damage. I'm fine with that. So I'm going to light up the stage so I can try to hit a land off that instead of playing the land for my hand. I'm going to develop the other Soulscar Mage. Still going to develop the other Soulscar Mage. I have the Growth as a hedge against anger, and now we got the Flame Slash as to kill the Corsair, and the Bolt to clear whatever other creature he plays this turn. If he goes land Bloodbraid Elf and tries to cascade into this Lightning Bolt, it's going to be a really big blow when I growth on one of my creatures. Which is exactly what's happening here. It's going to work out perfect because then I can slash bolt and swing for 6. I'm going to bolt my Soul Scrimmage. I'm going to growth it and keep it alive. Now I'm just going to get to play my whole hand out here. I'm going to get to Morphos into these 2 spells and potentially even draw a land and hit one of these spells. So we have the land. So I'll lead off with the Morphos before I do anything. Definitely make red because those are the guaranteed spells we're going to play. Is that just lethal? So this is going to be, these are going to be 4s after 2 of these. Then it's plus another 4, which would, so that was, this is 8. I believe this is lethal. Slash here. Bolt here. Bolt here. So yeah, these darts represent 3 damage each. So this is 3, 6 damage plus 8. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, so 8 plus 6 be 14. Plus another 4 from this, so that's just lethal. Solid turn 3 kill through a Courser and a Bloodbraid Elf. That's pretty strong. And we are 2-0 in the league. And I'll be back with the next match. Match 3, we are up against Prelude 9-3 Psy Racer, and we are on the draw. Our opponent has kept their 7-card hand. I believe I'm going to keep this hand. We have a nice early Prowess threat, and then on 3 lands we can develop Entity, Lava Dart into Entity, and get the triggers on the Sprite Dragon. And we have a Dart for early plays against us. I'm going to keep. Opponent leads off in a basic mountain. So this is the mirror. It's either the blue-red mirror or just mono-red Phoenix. So I'm going to lead out on tap Steam Vents here. My hand's kind of not great in this matchup, as I don't have an answer to a creature, and that is the key factor in this matchup. Opponent has Wooded Foothills, which means they're not probably, for sure means they are multiple colors, which means this is a blue-red mirror match. If they were black-red, they would have revealed Lurrus as their companion. Could also potentially be the white-red version, but it's not, as he just got Steam Vents. Okay, this is not a good start for us. I feel like I should probably just concede here and try to hide information. So hopefully they don't bring in claws for game 2 and they think we're on something like Blue Moon and we just died. Because the Lava Dart's really awkward. I can't really play as in sack. The Sprite Dragon just plays into Gut Shots and Lava Darts on their side. The Storming Entity is going to be hard to protect. I think I'm just going to concede to conceal information here. So these matchups tend to go very long. So I'm going to want the claws, the braids, the Flame Slash. Flame Slash is really nice because it deals with their Storming Entities after a Prowess trigger. Bedlam Reveler is a bit of a yikes. Makes me kind of think I might want Gust as well. I don't think I want Gut Shot. Gut Shot doesn't kill any creatures in the mirror match. It can be pretty awkward. Which means in the same regard, I probably don't want Storming Entity, as we have less free cheap spells to get them. But Storming Entity is a really good card as it's a flyer in the mirror match. I just don't want to draw multiple. Sprite Dragon is better in that regard, as Sprite Dragon is a flyer that doesn't take as much setup, since I don't want these cards in my deck anyways. And we're boarding in a lot of 2-drops, which makes this card a lot worse by itself. I think Reveler is Light Up and Stage and Reveler are also have the same case, but Reveler is just such an important card in the matchup, and the games tend to go long that I think I need to keep it. We can trim a Lava Dart. We opt. I really need the second Ether Gust. I can see Ether Gust being pretty awkward in this matchup. Especially there's some spots where I might have to shock for it and take extra life that I don't want to have to. So we're on the play. Hopefully they border like we're Blue Moon or something. I think this hand's fantastic. I'm going to keep. It's also potential that he boarded as if we were Storm, which is also fine with me. I'm going to lead out on the Swift Spear here. Get in for 1. Being on the play is really nice because it allows you to play the creature and develop your creature before you have to kill their creature, whereas on the draw, you have to kill their creature before you develop your creature, which means you miss out on prowess triggers. The way he played this, I feel like he's going to try to kill this Swift Spear right now, so I don't want to cast my Manamorphose because I don't want to give him an opportunity to kill my creature. So I'm just going to send him with the Swift Spear here, and then fire off a Burst Lightning at his face. Because the Lava Dart is key to protecting our creature from a Lightning Bolt. And if our opponent wants to let us go to damage, I'll just let that happen. I'm not going to expose my creature to Lightning Bolt when I don't have to. And holding Lava Dart can be really good too, because if he has potential turn 2 Sprite Dragon, the Lava Dart can answer it very cleanly. Manamorphose. Sure, so this is probably going to be a Storming Entity, but that's fine because it's going to be hard to protect. Where we have 5 damage here. A Mutagenic Growth would still protect it, but I don't think that's really in my range to play around that with my current hand. My next draw step might change that. Opponent scries top bottom. Gonna fetch a Steam Vents here. Okay. Makes things a bit awkward. Mutagenic Growth kind of sucks anyways. So I think I'm going to Shock. And then develop the Claw. And then Bolt. And if he does have Mutagenic Growth, it's not that big of a deal. Attack 1, 2. So we're going to make our guy a 3. So we kill it through the growth. If he blocks and he doesn't have growth, we blow him out. I'm going to Bolt here. If our opponent doesn't have Mutagenic Growth, it's going to be a big swing. If he does have Mutagenic Growth, it's not great for me. This still has 3 damage marked on it though, so I can attack into it. I feel like he's not going to block, but if he does, I'm very happy with this trade. As I have the Dragon's Claw, so any red spells that we have to develop favors me. If we have to spin our wheels a little bit to try to find another creature. Opponent is tanking on the block. I feel like if there was another Phyrexian spell, it's just a snap block, and there's not really much of a decision. So since he is not snap blocking, I feel like there's not another Phyrexian spell in his hand. So this is just going to be a trade, which I'm fine with. So here's the Sprite Dragon. It's okay. Let's see if he has a spell to go with it. It's likely that I'm just able to kill this Sprite Dragon with this Lava Dart. I may have to flash it back, which sucks, but I think that's okay. I'm going to start by spinning my wheels with a Manamorphose. Swift Spear is good because now, like I've said a bunch of times during this league, I'm able to press my advantage while trying to deal with these creatures, which is a huge game. I don't really care about losing the mana, but I do care about my Swift Spear not getting damage in, so I think I'm going to attack first, because if there is a Bolt, he will use the Bolt to try to keep this alive and make me flash back the Dart. So I'm going to send this in first, and I'm content with just getting in for 1 here, because if he has a bolt, this is going to make it really awkward. So if I just fire off the lava dart, well, the lava dart's on a stack, he gets to bolt my Swift Spear anyways, and I still have to spend the second dart. At least I got 1 damage this way. If obviously this just resolves the first time and he has nothing, this was obviously a worse line. But I feel like if he has nothing, I'm in a great spot anyways. So if he has no 1 mana spells to protect the Sprite Dragon, and no bolts or anything to kill the Swift Spear, what could be in his hand? Potentially clunked up Swarming Entities, potentially another Sprite Dragon, a Bedlam Reveler, maybe some Dragon's Claws, but he felt like he needed to develop a threat first. Not really sure. Could also just be some lands. Just passing the turn on 4 mana. Seems weird to me. His hand must not be very good. I'm going to attack for 1. I don't think there's any need to rush into any spells here. I have the next creature covered, and I have a dart to the face to protect against the burst lightning effect, which could be one of the things in his hand he finds clunky. But if he did have a burst lightning, I feel like it would have been fired off at the Swift Spear when this was on a stack. Cracking this now doesn't really make any sense to me. Kind of makes me think he's trying to hold up like a spell maybe, and he didn't want a shock, but he wanted a blue source. But that seems weird. I don't really know what's in his hand. If he had an Ether Gust, I feel like the Ether Gust is just snapped here and he gets a Swarming Entity in play, if that's his hand. I'm just going to keep attacking for 1. It's also possible that he overboarded for something as if I was like Blue Moon, and he's stuck with those dead cards in his hand, whether they're Spell Pierces or Negates or something like that. What's this? It's the hard cast light up the stage. Sure. Of One Mind, Mutagenic Growth. Of One Mind's an interesting addition that's not on my list. He probably, it seems like it might be a sideboard card he boarded in for Blue Moon, so maybe I did get him by conceding. Which means if I did, it worked out really well. So I'm going to send in a Swift Spear and develop the second Soulscar Mage. The Mutagenic Growth for him here is really awkward, as he has no creature to play on. He's basically just going to have to discard it. 1, 2, 3. I feel like if he has a Reveler, or if he's playing to a Reveler, he's going to growth on one of my creatures on his turn. But then he has to shock himself, which might not be worth it. But I think he needs to develop a Reveler if he has it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so if he has a Reveler, he can growth one of my creatures and play his Reveler. Which if he has a Reveler, I think is the play he will make. So if he doesn't, I'm going to assume he doesn't have one. Manamorphose is fine. It's not really getting him anywhere. So where's the Stormring Entity? Which is fine by me. Interesting line of play that he could have made, but I don't know if he considered, was if he does have Reveler in his deck, if he's not planning on using this mana, he could have made green with the Manamorphose and then cast the Mutagenic Growth on the Stormring Entity, giving him an extra spell in the graveyard for Reveler. So I'm going to untap and let these 2 spells go away before I do anything. I'm going to go for a Flame Slash on this Storming Entity, and then we'll see where that goes from there. Get the Sorcery spell out of my hand first. And it does 1 more damage, so if he only has 1 Prowess trigger, this will successfully kill the Stormring Entity. Okay, so it resolved. I think I'm going to go for the kill here by abrading one of my own creatures. I feel like it's probably better to actually shatter my Dragon's Claw because it doesn't make any of my guys susceptible to Lightning Bolt, as I have the answer to Lightning Bolt in the graveyard with the Lava Dart. Once these triggers resolve, I'm going to fire off the Lava Dart at his face to get the extra Dragon's Claw trigger. Okay, so we win game 2. Now we're going to go into game 3. Feel like he overboarded, thinking that was maybe a control deck, which worked out well for me. So I'm on the draw. I think I like my deck configuration the same, and I'm going to run it back. Not really sure what was in the opponent's hand. Seems like they clunked up really bad. Of One Mind seems like it's such a clunky card. Like, I understand when they have Swift Spear and Soul Scar and one of the non-creature spells, they get to play it for 1. But like, if you just have a human, like one of the 8 prowess creatures, and a Sprite Dragon, Reveler, or Entity, and they're sticking in play for you to cast Of One Mind, you're probably already winning. Alright, game 3. Opponent plays first, not surprised. And mauls a 6. So this hand's awkward once again because of double Reveler, which we've drawn a lot in this league, which has been super clunky. But it has a prowess creature, it has a lightning bolt, it has a spell to trigger the prowess creature. I'm going to keep the hand. Lightning bolt's just so key in the mirror as it kills the creatures through 1 prowess trigger. I think it's just too hard to mulligan this hand. It's definitely not the greatest hand, but it'll do. Opponent leads off on a Swift Spear. I'm just going to bolt this on turn 1. If he has a growth, at least it isn't extra damage on his turn. It also turns off a potential light up the stage on his turn. I'm going to lead off with the Steam Vent. No mutagenic growth is good for me. The next box we need to check them not having is Manamorphose and a Stormring Entity. I think Sprite Dragon's fine, as we have our own Sprite Dragon, which I feel like I can grow out of size with this Manamorphose pretty well. I think even a Dragon's Claw here is fine. No creature on 2. Seems like a strange 6 to keep if you had no follow-up creature. I guess they have a lot of ways to kill our creatures, but still seems like a strange keep. Just going to develop Sprite Dragon. This protects against Lightning Bolt as well. Mutagenic Growth is just such a key card in this deck against the red decks. Is this an Aether Gust? A Mystical Dispute. So that explains that might have been one of the cards that he had in his deck, or they had in their deck that was clunked up in their hand. So that's fine. I don't really think they should be bringing that in here, but when they get us, they get us. So it would be a really cool play by my opponent if they just developed the Dispute and they had the Storm Ring here. Yeah, that's a really nice play. They just wanted to make sure they got mine, and so they can develop theirs. That probably means they don't have a way to kill my next creature if I can get one down, because I don't think there's any reason to be that scared of me playing the creature, except for that reason that they don't have an answer to my next one. Dragon's Claw is a pretty decent draw here. I think I'm going to develop that out before I get this Manamorphose down next turn. It kind of sucks to leave the Storm Ring in play for a turn, but the Dragon's Claw should help to stem the bleeding a bit here. Dragon's Claw isn't as good in these matchups as it was against just the straight mono red decks, as there's other colored spells obviously to deal with. This feels like a light up the stage. Another Manamorphose. So set up to always yes, always yield again. Saves us a lot of time in our clock. Okay, this is not looking great for me. I need to find an answer to both these right now, and I need to find it pretty fast. This is a really great way to play around my Dragon's Claw, as it's just going to present a lot of damage. A lot of damage that doesn't gain any life for me. Let's ignore our Steam Vent. Okay. It's a good draw for me. Let's get blue-red. Develop the entity. I don't think Swift Spear is very good. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think I kind of like the second mutagenic growth here. Gives me a lot of nice blocks. I can also crack the eyelet for it, so I have like just double up mutagenic growth this turn. So I'm going to bottom the Swift Spear and top the mutagenic growth. And it gives me a lot of counterplay to him next turn, and I can block pretty profitably. And basically any set of spells, that's not just Insanity. Then the double growth will also let me develop my Reveler next turn and refill up my hand. Any red spells he plays will refill myself with Dragon's Claw. Okay, I'm definitely going to block here. And I'm not going to let a trade happen. I need my creature to stay alive. It sucks because I have to jump first, but that's all I can do. If I'm letting them trade here, I'm pretty sure I'm losing this game that way. Gain life with the claw. Get my other growth here. Make him have the second lightning bolt. Doesn't look like they have it. So my creature's going to live through this exchange, which is huge. Any land drop lets me get my Reveler, or any free spell. There we go. I'll adjust to this. This is interesting because I'm not really interested in blocking the Stormwing because it's basically going to be a chump block. But I think it's what I have to do and hope they don't have a spell. Because if they have a spell, it's just really bad for me in general. Because I'm just probably going to die. So I think I need to block, even though it means I'm going to lose my Stormwing some percentage of the time. The bright side of that, though, is that if they tap out on their turn, it means that my Stormwing, I'll get to kill their Stormwing on my turn. So now that I know they're tapping out and they're not going to kill me, I'm definitely not blocking the Stormwing entity, as I have a lot of life to gain off these two creatures next turn. Alright, let's go for a crack of the eyelet first. That was not a great draw. Soul Square Mage. Swift Spear. I'm going to get him with the Swift Spear and the Reveler and leave back the entity as blocking duty. We're head on board with creatures, and I have another entity as another blocker, so I think the main way that I lose this game is if I get punked out this turn by the entity, plus like some combination of blue spells. Whether it's like an Opt and a Spell Pierce on their Opt or something like that, or a mutagenic growth. If they have to kill my Stormwing into that play, then that's okay too. They got me. No attacks is really good for me here. I feel like they just press damage every time if they have it. Opt's a really strong draw, doesn't trigger the claws, and triggers my whole board. Also develops my entity really well. I would like to see something like, what's this? Kill something on my board. Mystical Dispute my Opt. That's okay. I'm not going to pay. All my creatures are already bigger, and I get to develop the entity just for casting the spell. That's a top. I think I'm just going to send the Bedlam Reveler here. because I'm going to set up a really big turn next turn. Or I can just swing through the board. And I have 2 entities back on blocking duty while also sending 1 through, which is a pretty strong play. Interesting that he's not trying to get any bluff equity here. I feel like if he attacked with, or if they attacked with this creature, I wouldn't double block my entities into it. Because it generally represents a lightning bolt, and that's a pretty free bluff attack that they could have made that they just took off the table. By not attacking before tapping out for their threats. Even if they just played the Dragon's Claw, like. A lot of triggers here. Sorry for the clicking. Always yield, always yield, always yield, always yield. Let's go. Always yield. Alright. Colors don't matter because we know what's coming out the top. I get the scry now. I want both of these cards. So I have a pretty large amount of bluff equity here if I make this attack. But like I don't if they just have like immunogenic growth or something. But I feel like if they had immunogenic growth, they probably would have played it last turn. I think I just like the save attack. Theoretically, if they just untapped and went lightning bolt on my creature, what would happen? If they just lightning bolted my creature. This would be a 4. This would be 6. I can chump here. Take 4. Our spell will kill me. It's okay. I gain a life too. Just sending these guys. And we'll get the kill next turn. So we get to kick the burst lightning. We can set up the opt to kick burst lightning the turn after, or we can just burst lightning that turn depending on what the situation calls for. It's Red Dragon's fine. I think burst lightning might be used to clear that out of the way to push to the storming entities for lethal. Opt. Believe this is just a concession. Alright, and we have won the match, and we are 3-0 in this league. Hello everyone. Welcome to round 4 of the league. We are on the play, and we're up against M. Hayashi. M. Hayashi reveals Giganta the Wellspring. So, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, this person here generally plays their Abbot of Carol Keep version of Mono Red Prowess, so we're probably in for another mirror-esque matchup here right now. This player is very good, but if we keep drawing the way we're drawn, this shouldn't be too hard. Definitely the M. Hayashi build. The best draw in our deck right now would be Stormwing Entity. I'm going to Manamorphose as a hedge in a blue-red just in case we draw a Stormwing Entity, as it's such a powerful play here. Sprite Dragon's also fine. The question is, do I want to develop it into an opposing Lava Dart? I don't think I want to. I just want to hold on to it. And then if they play their Abbot of Carol Keep, which I feel like they probably won't, but if that is the play that's here, Then I get to develop my Sprite Dragon. This is fine too, because it's a target for Lava Dart that I can kill. Perfect. So we can develop the Lava Dart into this and get the Sprite Dragon up to a 2-2. So it gets out of the range of all the Fire Bolts and Lava Dart nonsense pretty safely. That was a phenomenal draw. Because now this lets me go Burst Lightning here, Gut Shot here, and attack. Attack for 3. There's the Abbot. I imagine they're digging for a land here now. A Wither's pretty good for me. Here comes a Swiftspear. Another just phenomenal draw. Start here. Come in for 6 there in the air. The flying is so big here. 6. If I dome them with the dart, it's plus what? This becomes, instead of 6, it becomes 8. Right now it's 6. I like dome them with the dart. Just get the solid turn 2 clock on the board established. And it's all in the air too. It also is a really good play because they have a bolt for our Sprite Dragon. Then this Sprite Dragon kills them with any spell or the tapping of Sunbake Canyon, which is pretty strong. This Lightning Bolt's a good peel for him here. So he can't cast it off the canyon. You need to have another land. So yes, he does have the land, so I imagine he'll kill the Sprite Dragon and hope that I don't have a spell to kill them. If I crack my fetch to thin, how much equity am I losing here? So I'm going to 13. If they have 2 Lightning Bolts next turn, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So the 2 Lightning Bolts would be 2 triggers. This would be a 3, and this would be a 4. So that'd be 7, 10, 30. So if I crack this fetch, I die to Lightning Bolt. But if I don't crack the fetch, I don't die to 2 Lightning Bolts. Right? Because it would be 3 here and 4 here, which would be 7. A Lightning Bolt would be 10, and Lightning Bolt would be 13. So I'm not cracking. I'm going to be 13 anyways. That's my bad. That was definitely a mistake. Well, send in the Sprite Dragon. At least we got a blocker. Definitely should have cracked. I'm already at 13. I don't know why I thought it was at 14. It's my bad. It's cracking the fetch. Not cracking the fetch was just wrong. Through this blocker, though, I think we're pretty safe. This seems like a lot of desperation. Sunbake Canyon cracks. And timer pass looks like a concession. Alright, moving to the sideboard. So, against M. Hayashi Red. Board in the Claws. Board in the Flame Slash. The Braids. I guess the Ether Gusts. I like Gut Shot a lot better against their version of the deck, but I still don't think it's great. Turn Gut Shots, turn a Storming Entity. Cold Burst Lightning's gonna be awkward, Lava Dart can be awkward. Board basically the same way I boarded in the last match. This is definitely a matchup where I'd prefer to have more Mutagenic Growths in my deck. They kept 7. I think this hand's definitely a keep. If we draw the second land, this hand's just insane. It has the triple creature to play around removal and has a claw, which is just one of the most busted cards in the matchup, especially since they're on the mono red version. It's a great draw. I'm going to develop the bolt on this. You don't need to take damage. Also punishes a lot of 1 land light up the stage keeps by killing the creature on 1. Ratchet Bomb is interesting. It's a nice answer to Dragon's Claw. I am going to develop the claw out here, I believe, though. I want to diversify my CMCs next turn by going to 1 and a 2 drop, so he gets the least amount of value out of his Ratchet Bomb. Should have gone to their hand. I think I'm just going to go Swift Spear attack, as I feel that Dragon's Claw is such an important card in the mirror match. I think they're going to recognize that, and they're going to tick up their Ratchet Bomb past 1. But I don't want to reveal that I'm going to play the Soul Scar Mage post-combat, because I do want to sneak in 1 damage if they do want to blow the Ratchet Bomb up on 1. I'll let them have the 2 for 1 if they want, so I can keep the Claw. Interesting. No take up on the bomb. Means I'm probably going to end up developing this Sprite Dragon pre-combat, so I can still get some damage in here, especially with that Abbot I am. So I can Lava Dart the Abbot if they tap out here. That Abbot's pretty awkward here, unless they have another land. They don't. I'm going to fetch the Thin. And also, it's nice to get the fetch out of the way, as you don't want to trigger Spectacle in their main phase to try and light up the stages and potentially skewer the critics. I'm going to go for Sprite Dragon. I'm going to send my board into the Abbot. I'll let them just move the damage if they want to move the damage. Go ahead. Might see this bomb go up to 2 now. So now I have no intention of Lava Darting the Abbot Carol Keep. Since the bomb is up to 2, it's going to have to kill off my Sprite Dragon anyways. Take 2. That's fine. It's fine. They didn't get no value out of their stomp. Now I feel like our creatures just aren't going to die. I have the Braid to clear the Bone Crusher Giant next turn. The Growth to protect against the Lightning Bolt if that's their plan. It's fine. So now I have to abrade this first, because the damage will be marked on it. So even if I protect with the Mutagenic Growth, the counters from the Soul Scar Mage would kill my Swift Spear. This one's on this guy, and this one's on this guy. The counters are going to stay on anyways, since this is afterwards, so I just have to let this first one happen, sadly. And then this one can resolve, since it doesn't matter. Attack for 1. I would like some proactive spells here, like Opt and Manamorphose and stuff, so I can push some damage while also not losing my resources. Because I need to be able to keep clearing blockers and keep pushing this creature through. It's an aggressive attack. Feels like there might be a light at the stage, or just protecting this taking this bone critter giant might block. Yeah, there's a light at the stage. Swift Spear, Sunbake Canyon. So I just go land giant here and try to set up a blocker. Yeah. So I can slash that out of the way. A braid. So I'll slash this guy. Take 2 to the face. Then I braid this. And punch through for 3. Be a flashed backed Firebolt here potentially. I feel like that wouldn't be a great play though because of the Lava Dart. So you know about my Lava Darts. You're doing this willingly. I think I'd rather use the Dart than the Growth first. Interesting. Damage. I don't think there's any reason to Growth there to ever give Hayashi an instance to blow me out. Just want to always hold up Mutagenic Growth here until I can't anymore. Essentially any spell's a win here, and any non-creature, that's definitely a win. So attack first. Should be exactly lethal. And we are at 4-0. I'll be back with the next one. Going for the 5-0. Alright, hello everyone. We're playing for the 5-0. We won the dice roll and we were up against Rice Tackler. This is a no-lander, just an easy mulligan. I think this hand's an easy keep. I think I want to put back the Manamorphose, which kind of sucks, but I want a hedge that I can play all my spells off one land if I don't draw a second land. As this hand can still be pretty fast and kill pretty quickly off one land. So this is probably Storm, by the looks of things. Serum Vision's bottomed, which is a good sign for us. 1, 2. So these are worth +4/+4. So 1, 2, 4, 8. Just 10, so this would be 13 damage right now. Send him in. There's Storm. If it's Storm, I want to be able to kill their creature. Next turn, if they don't have any plays, we have these are 2, and these are worth 4. So 2, 4. So 4 and 4 is 8, and 2 is 10. This is worth 3. This would be 13. And this would be 18. So this would be a turn 3 kill on one land. If nothing happens here this turn. 4 and 4 is 8. 2 is 10. Plus 3 would be 13. Plus 5 would be 18. So yes. So if they do play a reducer, I think I'm inclined to let them see if they want to block, because generally they don't want to block with it. Usually though, you want to force the choice, because you don't want to give them the choice of blocking, because if they do block, it's good for them. But in this spot, I just don't think there's any chance that they believe that we have them dead with just our hand right now. Seems crazy. So we're definitely going for it here. Check. Growth. Yeah, I always gotta check for that salt when you do something greasy like this. Alright, no sweat. Turn 3 kill, 1 land. Alright, so I imagine this is Storm. If this is Storm, I definitely want Surgical Extraction. Basically want all the ways to kill the reducers. I think Easter Gust is probably pretty good too. Probably so Spell Pierce. I don't know if I'm going to board in all these cards, but they're definitely all considerations. Unlike the usual mono red deck, you don't have any Lava Spikes, which is the card you generally don't want, as Lava Spike is not a way to remove the creatures, because if you can play your creature and just remove their creatures, you're just generally fast enough to kill them before they can do anything to you. I think I want to Braid. I probably don't even want Flame Slash. I already hit Burst Lightning kills. I guess I could trim one of those. I probably don't want those anyways. Dart's probably a little bit off. Trim a load up since boarding out some free spells. So I go with my Storm Ring plan too, so I can get the this Flame Slash in here. Just be like a kind of more controlling version of my deck, I guess. Even though my deck's not really controlling, just like I'm going to kill your threat and push damage through. Play a more tempo game rather than an aggro game. Seems pretty strong in this matchup. Not gonna lie, killing someone on 1 land with no shocks from the other side is really impressive on turn 3. I think the main way that we lose this match is that opponent has a hand that can go Reducer into Reducer on 3, combo kill me on 3. Or we just mulligan into Oblivion. Otherwise, though, I think this matchup's pretty good. Just so many ways to remove the creatures, plus like a fast clock. And like we have a lot of interaction on our board, which I'm sure is just not specifically for this matchup, but incidentally hits this matchup. Having Surgical be a trigger for the Storm Ring entity and also a playable card in some matchups is just really strong. I really like this hand. Feels like a lightning bolt, but I think that's okay. Develop the Soulscar Mage first. Yep. we didn't have another creature, I'd consider passing with Spell Pierce and hoping to develop another land. But I think the upside of being able to just, if they don't have it, develop Light Up the stage is just too high to not go for it there. There's Brawl. Alright. We're going to bluff that we got Mutagenic Growth. I think they value their creature too highly to block. It's an interesting block. He's willing to lose Brawl to a Mutagenic Growth. Okay. It's important to take note of attacks like that, as some people just snap block there all the time, where sometimes it's right and sometimes it's wrong. But the fact that this person didn't block means that I have a lot of bluff equity in the next 2 games for me to continue making attacks like that, because I believe they'll play around it because they think their Baral isn't that important. Aria of Flame's an interesting card to bring in here. Attack. This is aggressive. It's a really good draw. I can now get Swift Spear out and hold up Spell Pierce. Would have been nice to be able to hold Spell Pierce for the Aria last turn, but I think it's okay. Opponent can't really fully combo us with the Surgical and a Spell Pierce. Like, it's possible, but I think it's unlikely. This one's fine. It's not the spell I want to fight over. For sure, definitely not the spell I want to fight over. If they just emptied us here, that would suck. I think this is fine, though. They have the gifts here. Well, what is this? It's a lot of mana. Is it a Desperate Ritual, like, spliced? What is the gifts I'm given? Because I have the Surgical here, so I can basically split this how I want, as long as I put the Past in Flames in the graveyard. They have to play around Spell Pierce and Surgical, which is kind of hard to do. See what they give us as piles. Important thing to notice is that I can bin the Past in Flames, and there's no card that they can get, or no way currently, unless there's a Simian Spirit Guide in their deck, for them to make that Past in Flames right now. 2 cards in the Revised Tackler's graveyard. So we're going to put the Past in Flames in there for sure, and the Manamorphose in there, I believe. So mana doesn't really matter, as I have the Surgical for the Past in Flames once they cast a spell. We're Surgical on the Past in Flames here. Notable thing at the moment is I'm at a functional, I'm taking, what is it, 9 here, so I'm at a functional 8. That bolt's bad for me. It's just lethal. Just the Aria triggers. That trigger resolves. 13, 10. I think I have to Spell Pierce this bolt and hope. Wait, he sent my creature? I still think I go for the Spell Pierce on this bolt. Probably just pay 2 here. Card in hand's Desperate Ritual. At least what do they got in their sideboard against us? So they're not. They got 2 empties, 3 grape shots, set of bolts. They're not on fetches. Okay. They boarded out Electromancers. So I'm at a 1 currently from this right now. I'm at 1. So this would deal 6 to me. He could attack me. I like his attack here. So I'm not Desert or Desperate Ritual, so I guess I gotta hope that they brick. I need to be able to block Baral. So that means I need to leave back a creature. So I'll send him with this one. Need to light up stage off. Hopefully set up for a kill next turn. If they brick. Does that kill with a land next turn? So the darts are worth 4 damage. Any spell kills me. Yeah, that's Ritual's fine. And like an opt. Remand that's Ritual. Yep, that's the game. Alright, let's get him on the play. I think I like my sideboard plan and run it back. Make sure I note to play around the Aria Flame now. Hopefully I have a Spell Pierce or a Gust for it. It was awkward last game where I missed the land, so I couldn't hold up the Spell Pierce. But if I get the opportunity, I will definitely play around the Aria Flame now, since that's her plan post sideboard. Opponent's ain't really allowing the sideboard here. They could either just be busy, or it makes me think that they're doing a lot of swaps with their board plans. Again, we've seen that Aria Flame, they might think that we might try to move away from that. Try to next level us and bring in Electromancers and go for a quick kill. But I feel like that would just be wrong. As like the bolts and stuff are just an intricate part to our plan anyways. That can just double as removal for their creatures. Our opponent has disconnected. So hopefully they come back. But if not, then there's nothing we can do about that. If we get back into the game and they're not here yet, I'll try to cut the video so that when they come back, whether if they come back or they don't come back, you don't have to sit here and wait. Yes, I will play first. I'll definitely keep this hand. Did the op? Oh, he reconnected. Alright, awesome. See if they said anything in the chat. No. So, definitely gonna lead it on Soulscar Mage here. The Genetic Growth's actually really strong because it allows the Soulscar Mage to live through a Lightning Bolt. Make red with this. So Spear, Soulscar Mage, attack. See if they have a reducer. Opponent's tanking really long about this turn, which is interesting. Makes me kind of think that they have a few options, like they might just have like a ritual empty hand potentially. Shouldn't be too good for me, as it's a lot of blockers and buys them a lot of time. For all. Alright, they're all coming in. No blocks. Light up the stage. I want to see a lightning bolt off the light up stage. Burst lightning is not quite lightning bolt. Light up stage again. Set up for a big spell turn next turn. There's a lightning bolt, but she's one card too deep. Alright, let's see if you can kill me to my surgical extraction. If they can't, we should have the game rolled up here. Desperate Ritual. Manamorphose. They need another mana source before their gift's turn is deterministic. There needs to be 3 mana floating after the gifts for it to be a deterministic kill. The kills are not deterministic, obviously, because it's surgical, but the kill that they want to go for, they need to have 3 mana. And right now, they do not have that. So, thinking about my next turn. So this is worth 6 damage. That's functionally going to be worth. What's this? So this isn't a deterministic gift because there's only 2 mana floating. So yes, that's fine. Let's see what they decide to get. They might just be going for a grape shot line. Tries to wipe our board here. So usually in a spot, since I have 2 mana, you want to bin both the rituals, because the Manamorphose plus Past in Flames doesn't get them up to enough mana to kill me. But since I have the surgical extraction, I want to go for to put the Past in Flames in the graveyard, I'm pretty sure. I just give them Ritual. What happens? They go to... If I give them Ritual, Manamorphose. Yeah. So I think I'm just supposed to be in these two. Which is the opposite of what you're usually supposed to do on 2 mana. But because of the Surgical, I think that's what I'm supposed to do. So Pyretic Ritual puts them up to 4 mana, which if they piff off 4, it doesn't matter. Because they can't cast anything, so that's fine. Oh my god, they held the land drop. It's a good play by the opponent. So I can Past in Flames. They have 2 different name rituals in the graveyard. So let this happen. That was played really well by the opponent. So now this is where I have to hit the Desperate Ritual, I guess, and hope it's good. Is that good enough? Because I know he has another Desperate in his hand, and I can take that out of their hand. So now he's left with Manamorphose, so he's left with 3, 4, 5, and Gifts with 1. That's fine. I think I have to go for the Desperate Ritual here. Should I just go for the Manamorphose? They don't have any blue, right? So they just can't go anymore? Unless they just naturally have Grape Shots in their hand. I like the Manamorphose. Yeah, cause they have nowhere to go from here. They can just ritual, but it doesn't accomplish anything. They have to cast a Lightning Bolt, which sucks, but that's fine. So, Desperate, X2, Baral, Pieces. Alright. Grape Shots, Arias. They don't have any empties in their deck. They have 2 empties right there, never mind. So they have nowhere to go from here. All our Manamorphoses are gone. Sure. All I can do now is cast a Lightning Bolt. This chat. Oh, it's gone. So they have Desperate Rip, Pieces, Brawl. Yep. Whoa, an attacker is super aggressive. Seems crazy that they might attack me here. Crazy. No way they attack me here. If they attack me, are they just dead? Even at the land? 1, 2. The bolt is 5, so that'd be 7. Yeah, 10, 13. Now they're just dead with that, though. So we should go bolt here. Dart Burst Lightning and kill him. Alright, we got the 5-0. Deadly. Thank you to everyone that tuned in. Just go over the deck a little bit more. I'm not sure if these will be uploaded all at once together as one big video, or if they'll be individual videos throughout the week. But this deck felt great. It's just a solid tier 1 option in Modern. It's really fast. Opponent just stumbles really well. As long as you can protect your creatures and you draw half decent, like, it's just a strong option in the format. Thank you for watching, and I'll be back another time with another Exploring Modern video.